Hey everyone, welcome to my channel as a married man. I want to thank you all for tuning in and checking it out. It is here we talk about love, life, relationships, and more, all from the perspective of a married man. So I'd like you to go ahead and please hit that like button, subscribe to my channel. It'll really help me out. I I think I maxed out at like 13 subscribers right now. I'm guessing my wife and grandmom, whatever, I guess they got banned from making more soccer accounts, so the growth is kind of stagnated, right? Oh well, I guess so much for beating ballerina farms as far as their subscriber count. But anyways, guys, today I'm going to be reviewing an article that was featured in Evie magazine, and it's titled Passport Girls Reportedly Getting Killed in Colombia After Trying to Find Women. This article was written by Nicole Dominique. If you guys want to check this article out for yourselves, I will definitely post the link in the bio for you. It's an interesting read. Go ahead and check it out. So, this article, it starts by talking about a man, a comedian from Minnesota of all places, and his name, apologize if I mispronounce it, his name was Tao Gershon. And this gentleman moved to Medellin, Colombia, joining a growing wave of national travelers who are flocking to Colombia as, quote, digital nomads. So apparently Colombia is one of those countries with burgeoning tech startup scene, and eager young men are flocking down there. The paragraph, it ends by stating stock trading by day and fine dining and dance clubs by night. So I can see the appeal of why a lot of young guys want to head down that way. God knows the cost of living is probably a lot cheaper than here in the United States. But anyways, Sean ended up going on a date on the 10th of December, and it was mere hours later that he reached out to friends and family for a $2,000 ransom. He claimed he had been kidnapped, and unfortunately, Sean's lifeless body was found, brutalized, and with multiple stab wounds and bruises, and was unfortunately discarded off a 260-foot cliff. His brother stated to the media that it's surreal that in a place so beautiful, my brother died. So my condolences to the family there, but unfortunately, Sean ended up a victim. Um, but Sean, he's not the only man to have lost his life in Colombia after meeting a woman. He is among a minimum of 8 Americans who have lost their lives in Medellin during November and December, part of numerous incidences where male tourists are being subjected to kidnapping and robbery. And this is usually happening after they find local women on dating apps. Wow, that's incredible. Like eight men have died just in those 2 months alone. And it's appearing that, yeah, it's just the tip of the iceberg as far as them being targeted, these expats living down there or traveling down there. But the next paragraph, it goes into this a little deeper. It starts out by stating um, passport bros, which is the term men use. Next paragraph starts, so unless we warn passport bros, the term used to describe men seeking foreign women, of the dangers of pursuing partnership or sex in countries like Colombia, more will find themselves getting used or worse, killed. The article, it includes a tweet here from a Twitter user, or X, I guess it's now called. But her name is Freely Ashley, and she makes a good point here. Her tweet states, the passport bros are crazy, honestly. They think seeking out a woman from a different culture is the solution to modern women. But the reality is, many of these women look at you as a wallet, not a person. They want a way out of their life, and you're the free ride. And the quote continues from there. Like, that's on a personal note, like that's some real talk coming from Ashley. And that's something these passport bros need to realize. I'll give my opinion at the end. Let me continue though. So, next paragraph starts by stating, in some of the suspicious and harrowing deaths, American men were found dead in their hotel rooms or rented apartments after going out with local women. Police state that thugs robbed and killed them on the street even while they were out on dates. Others are suspected of dying from alcohol mixed with other substances that gangs had slipped into their drinks. And now being in the United States here, having once frequented the club scene in my younger days in the 90s, what was it called? GHB, maybe? That date rape drug. That was something women had to worry about in clubs, and that's what these American guys are finding themselves the victim of. They're being given this date rape drug and then taken advantage of by local women and men who are working with these local women. But due to the spike in attacks against foreigners, the U.S. Embassy has actually issued an alert that urges U.S. citizens to be careful when meeting people on apps or websites. And unsurprisingly, the criminals have set their sights on many of these foreign men, those who are visiting the city in search of drug-fueled parties and sex workers. Medellin's top official who investigates these crimes revealed that a fraction of the 1.3 million people who visited last year, just a fraction of these people came for sex tourism. And these same guys, they often hesitate to report crimes when they're victimized. So the number of people actually being victimized is a lot higher than you would believe because, a lot of these passport bros aren't coming, they're not coming forward when they wake up a day or two later after having been drugged and robbed and beaten and et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, this is a problem that's there's more to it, and it's worse than what you can imagine. Um, but residents, authorities, and even some OG expats, like expatriates who've been living there for quite a while, they all blame one thing, and that's gentrification. The more of these Western guys that are moving here, the more they buy up property, the more they start these nice paying high tech digital nomad jobs, the more that cost of living increases for everyone across the board, you know what I mean? And it's that high cost of living that's helping to spur these attacks. Like it talked about Sean, who was mentioned at the beginning of the story. And apparently this dude, he was living in, it's called the El Poblado district, which was, I guess, notoriously dangerous. And even in this district that was dangerous, It the cost of rent there had actually nearly tripled. The mayor of Medellin actually went on to say that he's getting pretty sick and tired of passport bros and their sexcapades. Um, he went on to state, like, we want more foreigners to come, but we want them to take part in tourism that adds value. Like, basically what he's saying is, we're getting sick of these guys showing up for sex and drugs. We want families, we want people visiting the sites and the beaches, et cetera, et cetera. Like, the mayor and the locals, like, everyone's getting sick of this passport bro mentality. And it's an unfortunate fact that these passport bros are setting a bad example, and they're now getting preyed on by the local criminal elements. Speaking of which, the article goes on to mention some crime stats. The Wall Street Journal reports that in 2023, 50 people were arrested for allegedly working with criminals that specifically targeted foreigners in Medellin. Last summer, authorities apprehended 14 individuals affiliated with a criminal syndicate that exploited underage girls to make social media profiles that targeted pedophile men aged 27 to 60. Charges included stealing money and jewelry valued at almost $100,000 within 10 months. Wow. Like, how many watches and rings and whatnot do you have to steal? $100,000 in 10-month period. That's incredible. And not that was targeting just these fringe element of these pedophiles that were specifically looking for underage girls to bed. And yeah, that's amazing. That's sad and amazing. Um, but the article continues, and it talks about, at this point, the rise of social media, how more men, unfortunately, will follow in the footsteps of these passport bros. And through social media, a lot of these guys, these passport bros, they're sharing their active dating lives through Tinder and Bumble and other dating apps. Um, Luckily, I guess to counter that, there are social media accounts that are dedicated to cautioning foreigners about scams, um, particularly instances where gangs are, as I stated earlier, drugging their victims to incapacitate them. I think it's called GHB, the date rape drug. They're actually using a lot worse, apparently, as it's outright killing these guys. Um, but there's a content creator on TikTok. He goes by the name Jagger or Jaeger. And he's calling out passport bros. And he states, quote, I don't know what to tell y'all as far as thinking you're going to a third world country and then treating their women like that. Going to a different country you've probably never been to and just trusting a random stranger, end quote. And then he continues making some pretty solid points, stating, like, so when you come to meet that girl, they're just going to take your money and then take you. And, he states, and this is a really good fact, but it started in Colombia, and I'm pretty sure it's going to start in other places too. And that's, yeah, I just wanted to make sure I made that point in particular, that it started in Colombia and it is going to spread to other places. So that's an important thing to know right there. Um, Lastly, he does go on to mention, like, I don't know, maybe just consider meeting, maybe just consider meeting women in your own country. Maybe that'll work and you'll stay alive. Yeah, good advice on my man there, the anchor or Jagger. Just meet women in your own country. I not much else to say about that. And the article it ends pretty much ends right there. It ends off just talking about Chong once again and his brother. His brother sadly had to travel to Medellin to pay respects to the place where his brother's body was found. And yeah, the article just closes by stating his brother states at least he died in a peaceful place. That's not the way I'd not the way I'd like to end it, but you know, not much else he can really say. Um, it's a shame his brother had to die at all, you know. But what are my thoughts on all of this as a married man? Um, I actually did a video on this a while back. I did a video on passport bros just a little while ago, and basically what I thought about them. And guys, I'm gonna be honest, and I'm gonna stand firm with what I said. Like I likened the majority of passport bros as being sex tourists. I honestly like to all the passport bros out there. I honestly like I honestly I can't understand how you can brag about traveling to a beautiful foreign country and then brag about nailing prostitutes or wooing destitute women, you know, plying them for sex with money, you know, like that's pretty pathetic in my opinion. Like I remember when I remember when I was in my early 20s, I had a coworker that went to the Philippines and I guess he was a passport bro back before the term even existed. This was like 92, 93, maybe. Um, actually, maybe early 2000s. Anyways, yeah, this dude was an OG passport bro, and he asked me one day what I thought of the Philippines, and he asked me, you know, would I ever consider traveling there? I guess he was planning on returning for like a third or fourth time, and he asked me what I thought about it, and I told him, hell yeah, I'd love to see the Philippines. And all of a sudden, like, I just remember this dude's face lighting up, and he started telling me about all the women in Manila. I guess because of Subic Bay, the U.S. naval base there. I'm not sure if it's still in operation, but there's a thriving prostitution, whatever you want to call it, market, I guess. Uh, yeah, Manila has a notorious red light district apparently, and this dude was knee deep in it, and he asked me what I thought, and I started talking about like World War II wrecks and diving, and I know there's like a sunken Japanese fleet in Coron Bay, and I know on some of the islands there's like fortifications, bunkers, pillboxes. There's wreckage of like anti-aircraft batteries and stuff. Like personally, guy, I'm big into World War II history and stuff, and basically when he asked me about what I thought about the Philippines, I started rattling off all this World War II history, the Bataan Death March and stuff, and all of a sudden, you know, his face was just kind of went blank, and he was just kind of like, "Oh, never mind." And like basically, I bring this up because I could tell this guy, this coworker of mine, he didn't give two fucks about the Philippines, you know, the people. Like he didn't care about the people, he didn't care about the history and the culture and the food and all the wonderful stuff there is to experience. It's like the red light district in Manila was like the only thing this dude had on his mind about traveling there. And I just remember thinking how pathetic that guy was, you know. And I think I even said it to his face at one point, like, you're pretty lame that you have to travel overseas, and you do travel overseas just to pay for sex. Like, that's sad. Like, you're sad. And that's how I see passport bros, guys. Like, you're traveling to these beautiful, wonderful countries with rich cultural heritage and beautiful sights, and there's so much to experience and explore, and you're going there and paying for sex. Like, that's the ultimate in being pathetic, in my opinion. Um, but ending, I'm sorry to go off on that big tangent. The article in the article, it started out by talking about Sean, this tech nomad, this digital nomad. It didn't sound like he was a passport bro at all. It sounded like he moved there to get away from Minnesota. I don't really know a lot about Minnesota. I know it's not as awesome as Colombia. So I can understand, this guy's motivation for wanting to travel to a beautiful tropical type of place to work and relocate. But for Sean, it sounds like, you know, he was unfortunate to come across a woman who was associated with these criminal gangs, and he was targeted like a lot of these passport bros are being targeted. Um, but as a married man, like, reading this article, I was more amazed at just the sheer number of male tourists and passport bros who are getting robbed and killed and victimized. Like, the sheer number is mind blowing. I had no idea. Like, I have a firm grasp of the manosphere, and I think I mention every video I make how I follow a lot of red pilled YouTubers and male relationship channels, and passport bros are kind of offset of the MTOW community. Um, but yeah, this isn't something you hear in the MTOW community about guys just straight up getting murdered in foreign countries or robbed. And that's sad that that's happening. But it just goes to show, like, if you're familiar with the saying, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. That's kind of what's happened here, in my opinion. Like, these stupid foreigners show up flaunting money and wealth, and they start targeting women, and they want their drugs, and they want sex and alcohol, and you know in turn, this whole underground criminal community has risen up to prey particularly and specifically on these guys. Like, I don't condone that, of course. Like, I don't want to see anyone get hurt. Like, I don't think very highly of passport bros as a married man. And I don't want to see anyone ever get hurt or killed, even if they are going over there to pay for sex. Like, but like, I understand the animosity and the anger from the locals. Um, like, I was reading about Mexico City, for example, real quick. Yeah, apparently a lot of Americans are moving to, like, Mexico City, like the digital nomad trend, and in turn they're causing the cost of living to skyrocket. And the article I was reading, like, the Mexican locals in Mexico City were just, they despise these they despise these expats who are moving there and working, because they're making everyone's life a living hell, just raising the cost of living, and like the gentrification thing, you know what I mean? So I know that there probably is a lot of resentment from the locals of Medellin against these dudes. the ones living there and the ones just showing up to try to buy sex and drugs and whatnot. So, like, I don't shed a lot of tears for, a pedophile getting robbed and beaten, or a passport Tinder bro who gets his ass kicked and his passport stolen. Like, I have a hard time feeling sympathy for these dudes. You know, it's like you go there to prey on local women, and now the hunter has become the hunted. you know, It- I don't want them to get killed or anything, but at the same time, like, I don't really have a lot of sympathy for these dudes getting their asses kicked by the locals. So, um, yeah, that's pretty much my how I feel about that. I do like, in the article, that this Twitter user Freely Ashley, I mentioned before, she states how these dudes think they can find a woman from another culture to wife up, pretty much. And that's their solution to modern women. They're just gonna go pay for sex somewhere else, somewhere outside the country. Instead, like, these women, they don't see you as anything more than a wallet, They don't see you as more than a free meal and a paid weekend of food and drink and partying. Like, you're nothing to them other than a dollar sign. And then I mentioned this dude Jagger, or Jaeger from TikTok, and he dropped some truth bombs. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. You think you can go to a third world country and treat their women like that, you know? And that's the truth. And lastly, as I stated earlier, like, if it started in Colombia, I'm pretty sure it's probably going to start in other places too. So, these passport bros, their days of, like, slumming it in these third world countries and preying on these underprivileged local women, they're gonna find themselves becoming the hunted pretty soon in more countries than just Colombia. Like, as a married man, I hate to rub some of my MTOW red pill brothers the wrong way, but yeah, just to end this article up, in my opinion, like, I don't think very highly of passport bros at all. And it's not just me, it's the locals in these countries that they're visiting and disrespecting. They don't think too highly of them either. And passport bros, like, to me, they're just sex tourists. Let's not beat around the bush. They're not going there and wifing up women, and they're just there for sex, period. And, like, I understand Western women have issues. Like, I understand that. Um, as the casual observer, seeing how Western culture, the dating game and marriage and relationships, sitting back and seeing all that unfold, as an impartial witness, I understand it's difficult to find a wife, or to find a quality woman out there. But, like, where are you looking? Like, to all the men out there, like, you're not gonna find a quality woman on Tinder. And ladies, same goes for you. You're not gonna find any man of worth on Tinder. You're not gonna find a trad wife, guys. You're not gonna find some loving, loyal, respecting woman on Tinder. Like, Tinder's a disgusting. Like, Bumble, these dating apps, they're for sex, and that's it. And you'll never find a quality partner in an app like that. And guys, they're not any these passport bros. They're not going to Thailand to find a wife. They're just going for sex. And like, the last thing I just want to say quick is guys, once again, where are you looking for women? Like, you shouldn't have to fly across the world to Colombia. You shouldn't have to fly to the Philippines to find a wife, or even just to find sex. Like, if you want a good woman, like as a married man, and then this is gonna come across here, I'll get a couple laughs out of this, but like try Barnes and Noble, like try a grocery store, dude. Like try an anime convention if you're looking for a woman. Like I'm a closet nerd. Um, I do cosplay. I go to conventions as a collector of like comics and vintage 80s toys. Like I'm always going to conventions, and anime, like swap meets and all, comic places and any convention that comes into town, I'm there and I've seen some of the nicest women there. Yeah, they're kind of socially awkward. Yeah, they're dressed in like Sailor Moon outfits and Attack on Titan and other obscure anime. Like, my point is, there's quality women out there in some of the most odd places you could ever think of looking. Like, what do you mean a Barnes and Noble? Like, I went to a Barnes and Noble and I got a girl's number once. She saw me reading a copy of Dante's Divine Comedy and we started talking and I ended up with her phone number. Same thing happened in a grocery store. I slammed into a woman's cart and ended up talking about what her favorite breakfast cereal was. And it's like, where are you going to meet women, guys? Like that's the whole point of this rant at the end of my at the end of my video. Like, there's quality women out there. Think outside the box for Christ's sakes. Like an anime convention, yeah, I'm serious. Man, I've seen some beautiful women there, and they're the trad wife type of woman too. They're just doing what they love, which is cosplay or dressing up or like you just got to think outside the box. But like that's the end of my rant there. But let me know what you guys think, ladies and gentlemen who are listening. Like, what's your take on this whole passport bros phenomenon? Like, on these guys getting robbed and murdered. Like, are these like travel-minded adventurers or are they just sex tourists as I've labeled them? And ladies, what do you have to say? Like anybody, just give me a comment. Let me know what you have to say. Hit that like button, of course. Subscribe to my channel, guys. You know you want to. And if you want to reach out to me, my email is asamarriedman out outlook.com. So hit me up, like and subscribe. Let me know what you think about this whole passport bros phenomenon. It's kind of a sad tale of our times, in my opinion. Um, yeah, it just sucks. Um, Not a lot of good is coming out of it, and now this article out of Colombia, it's going bad pretty quick, and I think it's only going to get worse for these guys. But let me know what you think, guys. I'm done ranting. I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye for now.